Scrum training. How do we build a dominant Scrum? In this video, we start with the basics and work through Scrum primers and progressions to create a powerful, connected pack from the ground up. Guiding us through it all is ex-pro and current Hurricanes U20 coach, Eugene Smith. All the drills are timestamped, so you can jump ahead and find exactly what you need for your next training session. Let's get into it.
As you see here, just some examples of some real basic drills, and I mean there's hundreds of different scrums and line out primers and drills that you can do to teach particularly young guys the core fundamentals of set piece. But some of my sort of go-to ones is just, as you'll see here, is just basic static holds that I'll get them to do. So it's just getting in that strong shape. I would normally explain around some of the detail of what we're looking for. So we're looking for that those sort of shins parallel to the ground, the angle on their from knee to hip. There's a number of ways you can talk about it. You talk about it from like a clock face and trying to be from the knee being the middle of the clock to the end of the hip being sort of around about that 12:30, 1 o'clock angle for that strong shape. Or you talk about the 110 degrees and all that type of stuff as well. But for young kids, I tend to try and keep it pretty basic and something they can understand a lot more easily. And then just around, obviously, having that pelvic tilt as well through their hips, big chest, shoulder blades back, and the neutral spine with their head as well. So this one's here is just you get them into that shape, and then you just get the boys and their partner to sort of go around and give them a bit of a shunt and sort of get them used to being pushed in all directions. And if they sort of get pushed off, just making sure they're adjusting back into that strong shape again as soon as possible as well. So that's one of those drills there. This one here is just sort of implementing a bit of movement with pressure. So again, just in that sort of static isometric shape there, and just having your partner just put that bit of pressure on there, getting them to call the and 8 or and go or whatever it is your call might be in your team. And on that call is just, having that little sink on the knees, getting that power from the ground and extending and catching your feet and getting back into that strong shape straight again. So that's what we're looking for there, just a few quick explosive work. This one's here is just basic isometric holds, so 1-on-1, bit of pressure going through on that. Just really getting them to really concentrate on that tension going through, working with each other, keeping those body shape and that little detail that we're talking about in their body shape and their strong scrum shape on that there. So just having that isometric hold for now and just really understanding that body shape under pressure.
Do you have any cues or tips to really help get good footing?
The first one and the major one, and it's a bit of a pet hate of mine, is making sure you bring the right tools. So making sure they've got their long sprigs in, and honestly, the amount of times I've had young guys rock up in molds expecting to be able to do scrums, I lose count of that. So I'm pretty strict on that in terms of bringing the right tools to get the most out of it, because one, it's a safety thing. Slipping and the likes out of that, it's not safe having your long sprigs and slipping out all the time. And two, it's just if you're having constant resets, it's just you don't get anything out of it. And especially when it comes to things like this rugby that's not professional, you only get a certain amount of time on units and set piece that you got to make the most of every single minute. So that would be the first one. And then in terms of the footing on the ground, so obviously keeping at a good distance, not being too overextended that your feet are kicking out the back, so you can actually get those sprigs into the ground. We mention and talk about being on the balls of your feet. So if you notice any of your players that are sort of collapsing or slipping out quite a lot, you might notice that they've probably only got 2 sprigs, so the tip of their toes are into the ground as opposed to trying to get at least 4. So really that focus of being on the balls of your feet, pushing down into the ground to get your power and not directly behind you, because I think they think because they're going forward to get their power, they've got to just basically push straight back to try and go forward. But it's actually more of a balls of the feet, getting that power, generating that power from the ground and pushing down into it to then get that forward motion from there. So yeah, a lot of work around that. That push pull drill. You've probably seen it before when you got two ears and someone yells out push and you got to push and pull. That's actually a really good drill in terms of demonstrating what the benefits are of being on the balls of your feet. Because at the start, feet will be all over the place, but then second time around, you might say, all right, let's get on to really concentrate on balls of your feet. And it sort of shows them, yeah, actually this gives me a bit more power, a bit more stability as well. So that's useful. And one as well. So the great Mike Cron actually picked this up from him. So he's really big on curling your toes up. So it might sound weird, and when you tell players this, it's like, oh, get more grip is actually curl your toes up in your boots to get more grip. People they sort of look at you sideways, but it actually works. So it's like sort of getting that grip and getting that push down into the ground, and basically clawing into the ground with your toes. So yeah, that's probably some of the key focus points in terms of getting that grip and power from the ground. Yeah, so this one's here is just, obviously we had the static isometric holds before with just that pressure. So this one here now is around getting that movement in place. So it's just a basic extend and catch, and really detailing around when we extend is obviously that we're not looking to push up, which a lot of young players straight out of school, they might not get the coaching. Just really, yeah, getting them to push through off their chests. And it's around, yeah, that focus again, around that detail of pushing down, pushing through off your chest, sort of on that 45-degree angle, and trying to get the power through that. So, and then with their feet, not taking big strides with their feet when they go to catch up. It's just sort of nice, short, sharp steps to then get back into that strong position again. Because as we know, the more time your feet are out of the ground, the less power you have. So it's really focusing on trying to get that power in straight away. And the other side of that as well, like a lot of players sort of come into this drill thinking, it's only really focused on going forward, but I know everyone gets a bit of bravado and stuff like that, and they don't want to admit that sometimes they have to go backwards in scrums. So being actually able to still stay in that strong body shape while going backwards to then hopefully try and reset and then counteract the pressure that's coming on and be able to push through. So while yes, it's about getting that forward motion, there's also a key focus here is around making sure that they are comfortable going backwards, staying in that quick body shape, and then still being able to reset and try and then counter that push from there as well. So that's this is quite a effective drill in trying to do that. As you see here, some of these boys, some of the loosies, probably their technique's not the greatest on the side there, but these two front rows here were pretty good on that one. From there, we might move into sort of just build up. So we might just build up into a bit more numbers, or the old dog in the back there on that back one over there, getting amongst it, showing them how it's done. But yeah, just this one here is just another sort of drill I quite like. It's a sort of chesting out drill. So everything's all based on their knees. So the guy in the middle there that's by himself, this is a drill mainly for him. So really good drill for tight heads and hookers around helping them chest out and having that focus of pushing their chest down and through on that 45-degree angle to stop them getting popped or anything like that, and trying to create the power through that. So all this drill is just, obviously 3v3. You got the one guy at the front and then two at the back who are just holding basically that pressure coming through just to hold them stable there. Then another couple of guys on the other side who are actually trying to pop him. So they're allowed to cheat, they're allowed to go on an angle, and their key focus is just trying to get a tight head or a hooker to pop up. So they're just heads underneath trying to lift them up, and the one guy, the tight head or the hooker, is just really concentrating on pushing down and chesting out there and not letting them push through. And the other guy on the other side of the back's again just holding that pressure. So all done on knees, not allowed to come up on their feet or anything like that. And what we'll do is we'll just say go, and the key is to hold it for 10 seconds. And I really love this drill. It's a really great drill for those props, or tight head props in particular, and hookers who really concentrate on sort of chesting out and pushing down and through off their chest on the 45 to do that. And it looks easy because they're all on your knees and you're just basically staying there still. But if it's done right and the opposition put quite a lot of pressure on you, that guy in the middle after 10 seconds will come up with bloodshot eyes and feeling a bit dizzy and stuff like that. So it's about a bit of resilience as well and staying in that fight for sort of a 10-second period to really combat it. Loose heads can still do it as well. But obviously with a loose head, they're not as focused as sort of chesting out and going on at 45. They're more just trying to lock out that scrum as well. So again, you can change and get the players that are going against them to try and drop them down to the ground and another way for them. And same for locks and loosies, they can also jump in there as well, because especially locks, they've really got to concentrate on that chesting out as well and that good body shape and staying in the fight. So yeah, no, really big fan of this drill. So as you see here, we've probably called the 10 seconds, locked it out. I'll probably get up feeling a bit dizzy, and then you just rotate it around and give them a rep each in there. And then from there, we might progress to a bit of sled work. So this is obviously a different training, but again, sled work's great because you can just get repetition after repetition, which we know at scrum time is key, just getting those reps in. So we might go from, first of all, this is hookers. So hookers setting up in that hooker stance and just really concentrating on that speed of the hit and getting that trigger foot back and just locking out. A couple of our props here, obviously working on their bind, their body height, and hitting in on that power. Obviously from there you can then progress it to, getting a few extra extensions out and working up the field, maybe on a couple of pushes. Then you can bring it into sort of mini units. So I do quite a lot of work with mini units within the scrum. So obviously you've got your whole pack, but being able to break it down into mini units and get those connections going as well. So it might be front row, it might be prop and lock, might be prop, lock and loose forward. Again, it might even be halfback and hooker, just really practicing that feed and that timing on the feed as well. So do a lot of work with sort of those mini units. So here's just the prop and lock, just working on the connections there, timing, making sure they're hitting together. Just working on that hit there. And then from there, you can progress it into, the prop, lock, loosey as well. Really getting those connections, which for a lot of these boys in this video here, these are first year out of school, and I doubt many of them would have done this in their school time. So it's actually quite a bit of a learning curve for them to actually get used to being on a sled by themselves with two guys pushing from behind. So it does take a few reps for them to actually feel comfortable enough to be able to do that. But first feel ugly, but then eventually they sort of tidy it up and they come pretty good from there. And from that, bit more live stuff. So here's just another drill that, so again, something that the Hurricanes do quite a lot, which I picked up from them. So a lot of these drills, give it a bit of a caveat here, like a lot of these drills are, you see performed in other teams and you might want to copy them, or sometimes I like to copy, edit, paste, as opposed to just straight copy, paste. So this one here, they call it the north-south drill, and it's just a 2v2. And again, working in those mini units. So there you'll have probably a prop and either a loose forward or a lock. And all it is just working in those mini units, and it'll be sort of two extensions forward, one side lateral move, and then another two with the flanker or the lock calling whatever the call is, the and goes or the and eights or whatever it is they're doing. So it's all around that timing, working together, staying in that strong body shape, and just getting a bit of live movement that can be done with only minimal amount of players as well. So again, another good draw on this.
With that one, is that are they just the two on the left, the ones working, or are all four, like are the two on the right working?
So the two on the left are the main ones working. So they're the ones who are taking that forward motion, and it's more about them getting that call and working together to push them back. But again, as I mentioned before, the other two are also working on just moving backwards as well. But they aren't giving full force. We do want a bit of movement coming, but it's more for the guys on the left here on the screen. So it sort of works like that, working together, getting a bit of movement, bit of calling going as well, and just sinking in. In terms of that one, so that's normally forward movements, but you can adapt it as well on the run. So you might be able to do one forward, one left, two forwards, and then they fight back, and you practice resetting again and then going forward again. So you can change up all the different options and it's pretty much choreographed, and you give them direction. So it might be one forward, one right, two forward, one back, or such and such. So quite a good drill that you can adapt as well. And then this one here is an old classic, which is just your classic 4-on-4s, which I think most people have done over the years as well, which again is very good drill. Obviously in a professional environment, most of the time you got your 8-on-8 that you can go to, but sometimes when you're at clubland or even high performance but under 19 level where you don't have a full 2 packs or there's injuries or whatnot, you can still get that sort of live element of scrummaging, which is quite nice. So it's around that 4-on-4 and still getting that scrum. I have a preference for live scrums. Try to stay away from scrum machines as much as possible. Obviously, a bit more realistic in terms of game situation if you're doing those live scrums. Scrum machines still have a place, though. I know there's some coaches that are very negative towards scrum machines, but they still have their place, I think. One, it's if you've only got the 8 in your pack and you want to work on timing and speed and stuff like that, scrum machine's great. Just to work on your process of your setup and your speed on your hit, and then pushing together. But when you got 2 8s or 2 packs that can go against each other, that's pretty gold standard, because obviously it's live. Scrum machines don't push back. Scrum machines don't manipulate you, or scrum machines don't make you sort of shuffle side to side and have to adjust to different movements and pressures from different angles as well. So live all the time when you can. If not, there's still places for scrum machines as well, especially around limited numbers. But yeah, 4-on-4 here is great. Just working on that process balance again, those mini units again. Just making sure the prop hooker and lock are working together in the flanker as well. You can adapt it as well, so you can actually keep. So it's really good for a tight head, which we know who anchors the scrums are the tight heads, so a lot of work goes into them. So you can actually test the tight head by just keeping them in there, and if you've got a number of loose heads, you can just rotate them through, keep the same tight head, and you can actually tell them if they want to cheat, they can cheat, just to see a tight head and learn what they can do if a ref's not really calling them cheating, and they have to adapt and take it into their own hands as well. So yeah, again, a really classic drill, but a great drill as well.
Do you actually coach a tight head what he can do to combat that, or do you think that's just pure experience and learning what works for you to be able to stop someone coming underneath or coming in?
Yeah, you can. So these days, there's not many dark arts anymore that you used to have back in the day. But it's there's still definitely things you can do, because obviously the lower grade you are, the refs probably aren't as good as picking up any sort of loose head that's cheating or anything like that, or vice versa, tight head cheating against a loose head. But so you can teach them things, like a real basic one for a tight head is just on your bind, making sure you're not opening up those windows with your bind. So if you've got a prop that likes to swim in the bind and comes up and over to then get a bind on the loose head, it opens up a big window that a loose head can come in and make it a lot easier for them to get underneath your chest and either angle in you or try and pop you up. So really working on having a really strong bind, a really sort of deliberate bind in terms of punching through, getting a nice bind, and you can work on just getting that shoulder pressure as well. So making sure we're tensing up the shoulder so that you can actually push down on the loose head's head and make it uncomfortable for them to sort of get underneath that chest. And the only real option they've got to do after that is to what we call armpitting. So their heads will end up underneath the tight head's armpit, which isn't an ideal position for a loose head to be, because one, it creates a disconnect between them and the hooker, and so you can sort of go through that seam between the loose head and hooker as well if you're a tight head that knows to do that as well. So you can teach them that. You can try and start painting them pictures around, if there is that disconnect between the loose head and hooker, then if they're trying to shoot in on you, you can try and shoot to that gap in that seam there and try and split them apart as well. So there's a number of basic things like that, but keeping the bind and just trying to keep them out and make it uncomfortable for them's probably the simplest one for a tight head to do. And then as they become a bit more experienced, they sort of understand the feel. They can understand when a loose head might kick out their feet a bit and just sort of create that little seam that they might be able to attack and things like that. But sort of for this age grade, you're probably thinking about more just trying to stay true to your form, staying nice and square, making sure you've got that shoulder connection with your hooker as well. And then just all the basic things like a strong bind, putting pressure through on that bind, and just that speed on the hit to actually win that space and win that hit to make it more uncomfortable for them. So we might go into a bit of 4-on-4 there, which is great. And then we'll just build it up. As I mentioned before, scrum machines, again, great for timing. Here you just can start with just building into it and building that scrum. So a bit of front row work there. Then you might bring in your locks and your number 8, because the number 8 can just help with holding that pressure off. So you can just sort of progress into that. And then once they're comfortable, you can sort of start getting into your 8-man scrums and just getting a bit of timing, a bit of speed on the hit, bit of calling, so getting the flinkers to call as you would, which is an underrated thing. Like the amount of times, and you probably know as well from your playing days, is that amount of times that you go to a training and you're calling and 8 and 8, and everyone's all going together at training. You get to a game, you never hear it once. But yeah, I do like to push through with the let the guys know. Like again, Mike Cron, I was fortunate enough to have been to a few sessions that Mike Cron has run, and he sort of likened it to a tennis player. That, you know, when you get the screamers, so they go on and give it the big scream once they hit the ball. It's just that release of power and that release of energy. So it's like a scrum that if you call the and 8, it's actually a bit of a release of power, and it's actually going together as a unit. But yeah, and it's obviously around that timing as well, in terms of everyone pushing at the same time, both on your own ball and their ball as well. So very underrated thing is getting the call and translating that into a game as well, which obviously it's easier said than done to get the players to actually do that. Flinkers. So then it'll be the flinker that's on the side that the ball's been put into. So if it's on our ball, obviously they know when it's been put in, and you can work with your halfback around what it is that they do before they put it in. It might be a tap of the hooker's hand. It might be hold it in one hand. As soon as they put it in two hand, that means they're going to put the ball in, and you can call straight away, so you can push and get the jump on opposition, as well as when it's the opposition's ball, being on that side that the halfback is, that you can actually time it, so you guys can try, or your own team can get the jump on that as well. There's been changes. I've had it when halfbacks have called it as well. They'll just call the and then, because they're the ones who put in the ball in, they can work on the timing. But I don't know, for me, I'd rather just keep scrum stuff for the forwards and leave the backs out of it.